Antrim, Jim Allister with us now. Good evening, Mr. Allister.
Good evening.
Is this an issue on the doors for you? Is this an issue for your constituents? Is there concern in North Antrim?
Oh, there certainly is. You know, I have a number of constituents who, for example, might have a small company pension. Maybe they worked for a while for Gallagher's or Michelin, particularly women who haven't got a huge. They've got a state pension and a very small company pension, and that's the category of person who has been cheated out of their winter fuel allowance and who need it most because they're just over the threshold, but that does not make them rich by any means. And I think that it is a very considerable blow to those people, and a blow which comes as a broken pledge from the Prime Minister, because when he was leader of the opposition, he chided the Tories for thinking about this, and then comes along and does it himself. And I do also have to say, I don't think Stormont is exactly in a position where it could have done nothing about this. I think there were ways and means. You know, there were ways and means. Well, let's deal with that. There were ways and means when the welfare benefit changes came, and there was no threat then from Westminster to strike them off the computer system or anything like it. So I don't really buy that threat that's been promulgated about this. But, you know, yes, Stormont has got a limited pot of money, but it chooses, for example, to spend over 30 million a year on pretty useless north-south bodies. It chooses to spend money on setting up unnecessary language commissions. It has spent millions over the years in maintaining the Maze site. There has been wastage of money which could be called in and stopped and put to the more deserving cause of pensioners. And every quarter we have the discovery that there's unspent resources within virtually every department, and we have monitoring rounds. It runs sometimes to hundreds of millions of pounds of unspent money, and yet here they tell us that it would be impossible to find that which would bring relief to the suffering pensioners.
So do you think that the 50 million or so that we expect this to cost, do you think that should be prioritised in the monitoring round? There's usually October, isn't there?
It certainly should be prioritised over the wastage that I've identified in the north-south bodies in upkeeping the Maze. And
I think some people would say north-south bodies are worthwhile, though, given...
Oh, are they?
Given the fact that we have money coming from the Irish government for the A5, for Casement Park, for the Narrow Water project.
Well, sorry, none of the north-south bodies are involved with Casement Park or the Narrow Water project.
But it's about communication, isn't it? Cooperation.
The north-south bodies, for example, like Safe Food. Safe Food's a north-south body that we contribute a huge amount of money to. It doesn't employ one person in Northern Ireland. You know, what's the priority of this executive? Is it the pensioners who are going to feel the draft this winter, or is it funding jobs in Cork and elsewhere under a north-south body? I think those are fundamental questions this executive needs to face up to.
What can you do in your new seat in Westminster, Jim?
Well, I can give voice to my constituents' needs, and let's be frank. With a Labour Party with a monstrous majority, the reality is that if they buckle down in this and are determined to push it through, they will push it through.
But do you feel better positioned to air your concerns because of proximity, if nothing else?
Yes, of course. But I do think that, and I've spent some part of this interview criticising the executive, and if I was in Stormont, I'd be making those points too, that I think that they could have done more to find the money. But yes, the root cause of this problem is the Labour Party deciding that they're going to squeeze what they misconceive to be rich pensioners. These are not rich pensioners. Of course, there's pensioners who don't need it, but there's a huge swathe of pensioners in the middle who desperately need it.
Jim Shannon said he was a pensioner who didn't need it. Would you consider yourself one as well?
I am technically a pensioner, and yes, I would say I don't need it. But I know many constituents who are pensioners and do need it, and some of them, and I've been helping some of them, are eligible for pension credit and haven't got it and need to get it, and that's part of the solution. But even with that, the people who have an income probably just below the tax level, but above this £11,000 or so, are the people who desperately need the winter fuel allowance. And £300 was a lot of money to those people, and was something that they could bank on for the hard winter months.
The MP for North Antrim, Jim Allister. Thank you very much.